I thought that it was just about proving that this fictional character existed. But I have no idea what Morgan's motivations were. I thought it was just about proving that something most people thought wasn't real was.
So this is, and who are you talking about?
The character?
Right.
Slenderman.
So today we're going to be talking about some of the updates in the Slenderman case. Now, specifically what we're going to be doing is reviewing a letter to the judge from the hearing that just took place. This is from Anissa Weier. I hope I'm saying her last name right. But she appeared in court. She is asking to be released from this facility that she's in. Now, she wrote a long letter that was basically her reasonings as to why she feels she is ready to be out in society and contribute and be a productive member of society. Now you already know I've got some 2 cents on that. So what I'd like to do is to structure this way. I want to read the letter and I'll put it up here as I read it. And I just want to make some commentary, some sofa sidebars along the way, because again, I feel a certain way and I want to see how y'all feel about it. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Now remember, a jury found her not guilty due to mental illness, and she was sentenced in December of 2017 to a mental health institute in Oshkosh. And there's that's a preliminary. So let's go ahead and jump into this letter that she had for the judge at her hearing. First of all, I'd like to thank the court for giving me the opportunity to speak. I assure you all I will not be wasting your time. I'd like to say that I am sorry and deeply regretful for the agony, pain, and fear I have caused not only Payton and her family, but my community as well. I take full responsibility for my actions on May 31st. And I show that responsibility by making sure I never get that ill again. I have taken care of my mental health since I was last in this courtroom, thus proving my acceptance of responsibility for my actions on May 31st and the responsibility that come with living with a mental illness by communicating with total transparency to my treatment team members, participating wholeheartedly in all aspects of my treatment, and maintaining 100% medication adherence. I vowed after my crime that I would never become a weapon again, and I intend to keep that vow. Okay, so let's stop right there. Now, she has made some tall claims in this first opening. First of all, she says she is not wasting our time. I thought that was just kind of odd, but okay, I get it. Now, she's laying the groundwork here for saying, look, you know what? I am taking full responsibility, for these actions that I took, and I recognize, you know what? I had a mental illness and I'm working through that. Now, here's my thing. Now, again, we're talking about a 19-year-old at this point versus, when she was sentenced, what was she, 16 at that time? She was 12 at the time of the crime. The sentencing, she alleviated herself of any, wrongdoing as far as I'm concerned. She blamed this all on Morgan. Morgan did this, Morgan did that. It was Morgan's idea. There's completely that. Now, mind you, I'm aware that we're speaking about a child, so there's that. I mean, I don't anticipate a child to have any kind of grown-up concepts on some things, even though I think the actions speak not even to like what a grown-up would do, but they are so vile what both of them did. I personally consider them both just as guilty. I don't care who did what with what object. They both planned this out. It was very calculating, and yeah, you don't see most of that kind of behavior even in adults. I hate my actions on May 31st, but through countless hours of therapy, I no longer hate myself for them. I have forgiven myself for my participation in those events, and I ask that anyone affected forgive me as well. I have learned that forgiveness is a process of healing that helps release the pain of the past. I no longer want to be a source of pain in my community, and that is why I ask for forgiveness. Okay, so this right here, and again, I have two sides. The part of me is like, okay, Paul, you have to remember that this is, at this point, a teenager. They haven't lived out in any kind of a real world to have any real world experiences. However, I also feel like, well, you're surrounded by doctors and whatnot. So with this paragraph, I have these issues. First of all, she's like, I learned to forgive myself. I want, the community to do so, and da-da-da-da-da. Here's my thing. These actions were so heinous. And while I believe that forgiveness is a journey that almost all of us are going to have to learn in our walk in life. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it's forgiving others or ourselves, you know. Now, granted, one thing we see in true crime is this huge lesson of learning to forgive someone who caused you great pain and that type of stuff, or caused you significant loss. And in this case, she's the person who caused that. So to sit here and basically say, well, I've forgiven myself, so I want y'all to forgive me too, after 3 years, this is completely like, it is too soon for that. I understand that she probably feels that way. Anyone would. And I understand that anyone would be like, look, I don't want to be this source of pain for the community. The actions that she chose have enduring long-term effects on the community, on the victim's family, on the victim. You know, I keep going back to thinking about the victim, and I'm like, here's a 12-year-old who had a spend the night party with her little girlfriends, and it ended in that level of tragedy. How do you move on from that? How do you learn to trust again? I don't think that's something that after a few years she's like, oh, I'm all better, you know, type thing. So this paragraph rubs me the wrong way. Since conditional release is about who I am today versus who I was in the past, I'll move on to more recent matters. I'm not claiming to be a perfect person. Far from it, actually. Sometimes I take my medication a little late because life gets in the way. Sometimes I lose my way and down seems up, though only for a short period of time, because I've learned to talk about what's going on so I don't become a danger again. Okay, let's pause right here. These are the issues I have with this paragraph. And so first of all, she is admitting I'm far from perfect. This is the train of thought I wanted to see more in this entire letter. And I'm not saying her bashing herself, but a true, authentic feeling of, oh my God, what I did was horrible. I can't believe my actions. How does Payton feel? Is Payton okay? So on and so forth. But especially what I take issue with this paragraph is when she says, you know, sometimes I take my pills a little bit late. Sometimes I think down is up and all this type stuff. But, you know, I'm not going to, you know, I've learned to talk things through, so I'm not going to, you know, go down that road again. Well, this is my thing. I'm like, okay, you already said in the first paragraph that you have 100%, you know, medication adherence. And now you're saying, oh, sometimes I take them a little bit late. You're living in an institution where probably every decision is made for you for the most part. Your schedule is made for you. You're not in school. You're not at work. You're not dealing with basic everyday life speed bumps, if you will, that can cause one a lot of stress. And my thing with her is, I'm like, we're starting at a place of, you wanted to convince everyone that Slenderman was real, so you stabbed your 12-year-old friend as a 12-year-old 19 times. That is horrendous. What do we do when you're in school, working a part-time job, you are dating somebody, said person breaks up with you, you fail a class, and intense stress comes on? How are you going to deal with that? Because that's real life. By petitioning the court for conditional release, I am not saying I am done with my treatment. I am saying that I've exhausted all the resources available to me at Winnebago Mental Health Institute. If I am to become a productive member of society, I need to be part of society. I mean, I don't know, and anyone in the Sofa Squad who knows about, you know, how these places are run, maybe even specifically this one, I have a hard time buying that in 3 years she has exhausted her resources at this facility. You know, I don't believe that, you know, at all. For someone who had done the things to the level that she had done, I'm just not buying that. Aside from being committed to being healthy, I am also committed to using this negative situation and publicity for something good. I intend to give back to my community by doing good within it, and hopefully healing the wounds I've inflicted on a lot of people. I've always wanted to do for others what I felt no one could have done for me. I want to use my experience losing myself in a mental illness as a way of to make others who are dealing with mental struggles see they are not alone. This is not the end of who you are. This does not define you, and give reality checks to people who are asking for help. I am willing to comply with any and all rules that the court and my new treatment team give me. I cannot stress enough that I have gone above and beyond in WMHI to be healthy, and I will continue to do so to stay healthy. I am going to be a productive member of society, make my own way, and get some form of higher education. I want to reiterate that I'm not saying I am done growing, changing, evolving, or adapting. I just can't do it here anymore. I thank everyone for their time and patience, and I ask that I be given a chance to prove that I am who I say I am. Okay, so that's the whole letter, and again, here's my whole thing with this. She's 19 years old. She has had no real life experience. She made a horrifying decision to go along with, according to her, someone else's plan that was literally, stuff that horror movies can't even come up with. And so now she's saying, look, I've outgrown everything. Basically, I've learned all I can learn here at this institution in 3 years. I mean, really, I'm having a hard time buying this. And here's my thing too. I'm like, you know what? I'm sure at some point this person might be able to adjust and do this or do that, but I personally don't think it's time. It's too early. I think I would like to hear her saying, you know what? And again, before I even say this, I don't know how these situations work with these institutions, but she's like, I want to work within my community and yada, yada, yada. I want to see her saying, under the care of one of my doctors, I started this, support group in my facility, and I'm leader of this and that. You see where I'm going with that? I'm not hearing any of that in here, though. I'm hearing sorrow towards Payton as an afterthought, and I'm hearing a lot of I. Me. And so what I want to hear is true sorrow for Payton and her family, because I'm not getting it from this letter. True, absolute, I cannot believe what I did. I cannot believe what I did. I cannot believe what I did. I just can't say it enough. It still sends shivers all over me. So, that's my thing. I feel like she needs to be in there for, a hot minute. 3 years is not enough. And I want to see her continue to progress there, because I do not believe that she has just outgrown and knows everything there. I just do not believe that at all. Now, her doctors did say that 3 of her doctors all, agree, and they're like, look, she's ready to go. She's fine. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but I would love to read their findings. Now, they've scheduled another hearing for June 11th, and they're going to reconvene. Now, the state is going to be offering up, their, reasonings as to why they think she should never get out. But we'll see how that goes with that. So we'll also see June 11th what happens. I'm very curious. I'm also very curious to know what you all think about this. So drop it down in the comments and let me know. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to the Patreon's members and mods for making this channel possible. I couldn't do it without anyone here making this community so much fun. Until next time, I'll see you then.